When Xierangshu failed to come to propose marriage as promised, I knew that he too had been reborn. In my previous life, I was the virtuous wife praised by everyone in the capital. I helped him rise to prominence, managed his household affairs, respected elders, and taught children, never making a single mistake. Only one thing made him resent me for most of his life. I won't allow him to take his childhood sweetheart cousin as a concubine. Therefore, Xierangshu, reborn, decided to give me the cold shoulder, postpone the marriage proposal, and teach me a lesson. But by the time he felt the punishment was enough and came to my door with betrothal gifts, I had already married someone else. When Xierangshu brought Liu Ruyue to our door, I was reading the letter sent by my aunt. A few days ago, the Xie family failed to come to propose marriage as scheduled. My parents were worried that something might have happened to the Xie family. So they asked a friend to inquire about it. Then I learned that everything has been well with the Xie family recently. After waiting bitterly for another 3 days, my parents finally believed it. There were no unexpected events. The Xie family simply didn't want to come to propose marriage. Father was so angry that he slammed the table violently. Outrageous, utterly outrageous. Taking the keepsake they had exchanged, he was about to have someone throw it at the Xie family to make a clean break. But unexpectedly, Xierangshu arrived first, bringing with him the memories of his past life, and the beloved he had longed for his entire previous existence. Xierangshu was blessed with handsome features. In the capital, everyone praised him for being gentle, refined, and upright, with the talent of a... But this very same person looked at me with nothing but disgust in his eyes. Linyu, I never knew you were so eager to marry, seeing that I didn't come to propose marriage. You rushed over to urge me. Is your Lin family afraid you'll be stuck with you? I was reborn a little late. When I returned, Father had already finished inquiring about the news from the people he sent. Now it has become Xierangshu's handle to tease me with. Seeing that I didn't speak, he chuckled lightly. That's right, someone as hypocritical and selfish as you. Who else but me would dare to marry you? I asked. So, Xierangshu took Liu Ruyue's hand. I will soon take my cousin as a concubine with the rights befitting a legal wife. After he finished speaking, he waited for my reaction. My expression was calm, thinking in my heart, is the person I've been thinking about my whole life still only going to be taken as a concubine? Xierangshu was not very satisfied with my attitude. He warned in a heavier tone, as for you, consider these days as a lesson for your jealousy. However, since we have already exchanged tokens, you have no choice but to marry me. Once my cousin is pregnant, I will naturally come to propose marriage, so you won't end up an old maid, just like in my past life. The good-tempered Xierangshu only spoke harshly to me. But Xierangshu, it's not like I have to marry you. My father is already preparing someone to return the betrothal gifts. Before she could finish, Xierangshu quickly interrupted. Linyu, you don't need to say these ambiguous words to save face. As long as you are sensible and respect my cousin in the future, there will naturally be a place for you by my side. As soon as Xierangshu finished speaking, my parents rushed over. Hearing Xierangshu's disparaging words, my father was furious and grabbed the broom from the servant's hand, swinging it at the two of them. Get out, you bastard. If you don't get out now, I'll break your dog legs. Xiaran and Shu were chased out the door by their father in a sorry state. While advising his father not to be angry, he did not forget to lecture me. Linyu, in this life, restrain your jealousy. Then I was splashed with dirty water by my father. But even that didn't appease them. They wondered, how could we have been fooled by such a beast in human clothing? My reputation for being gentle and virtuous precedes me, and I excel in talent, character, and appearance. Such a wonderful girl naturally has many suitors eager to marry her. When I reached marriageable age, the words my mother repeated most often were, a woman's marriage is like being reborn into a new life. To choose a satisfactory husband for me, my parents were extremely selective. In the end, the most suitable families were the Sierran Ji families, but the Ji family was far away in Jiangnan. They feared Jiangnan was too distant, and if I suffered, there would be no one to support me or hear my grievances. So, in my previous life, I married Xierangshu, and then, I spent decades as an unhappy couple. Fortunately, I don't have to marry him in this life. I handed my aunt's letter to my mother. Mother, write back to aunt and say that you invite the Ji family from Jiangnan to come and propose marriage. 2. The Ji family arrived quickly. The betrothal gifts filled 10 ships. When carried to the house, they filled several courtyards, leaving no room to stand. The rooms mother had specially cleared out to store the gifts were simply not big enough. But this was a joyous occasion. My parents swept away the previous day's gloom and anger, replacing it with beaming faces to welcome guests. The maid Yu Huan and I hid behind the screen, listening to Ji Mingyang recount amusing anecdotes from the marketplace. The clear-voiced young man had learned the storyteller's tricks, with inflections and pauses that really piqued one's interest. Even my parents couldn't maintain their composure, and were coaxed into hearty laughter. Yu Huan gently nudged me, telling me to take a peek at what he looked like. Actually, I had seen Ji Mingyang in my previous life, many times, on the roadside, in the rouge shop where we brushed past each other, in the elegant room of the restaurant we passed by. He looked at me from afar, bowing and greeting me with cupped hands. I only remember that he was an extremely handsome man, but I don't know why. There was always a hint of sadness between his brows, so thick that it couldn't be dispelled. Lost in thought, I inadvertently leaned half my body out from behind the screen. The storytelling came to an abrupt halt. I looked up and met a pair of amorous eyes, utterly captivating. The animated storytelling spirit still lingered on his face. With just one glance, I knew he was a flamboyant person, different from every time I had seen him in my previous life, and even more handsome, making people unable to resist wanting to take another look. Realizing what I was thinking, I was immediately filled with embarrassment, but I saw the person in front of me wink at me, revealing a knowing smile. My face suddenly flushed red, and I quickly withdrew my head. Outside the screen, Ji Mingyang continued to recount anecdotes of the neighbor scolding his son. My parents pretended not to notice my impoliteness and continued to listen with pleasure. After the neighbor's child was beaten, the date for Ji Mingyang and my wedding was set. The wedding day was chosen to be in the spring of the following year. Ji Mingyang said that when the winter snow melts, we would take a boat south and he would show me the beautiful scenery along the way. The picturesque scenery and vibrant flowers he described actually made me feel a little longing. 3. Ji Mingyang is a proactive person. The day after the engagement was set, he sent someone over with a gift. It was a small, moving wooden horse that ran across the table with a da-da-da sound, quite amusing. A note was tucked in the middle, not some sappy poem. Opening it, there were only 6 words. Miss Lin, are you well today? I kept the note in my treasure box. Little did I expect that in the days that followed, I would receive the same gift every day, and a greeting. As I was putting the note back into the box, Yu Huan, who was passing by with clothes in her arms, teased me. It seems Miss Lin needs to get a bigger box, otherwise, I'm afraid I won't have enough space for all the good things to come. I clapped my hands. Miss Lin thought that made sense. Another day, an invitation was added to the paper. Miss Lin, would it be all right if you personally came to collect your gift tomorrow? Miss Lin didn't say anything, but the next day, Miss Lin sat in the carriage that Ji Mingyang had sent to pick her up at her doorstep. Miss Lin, good day to you. I heard this sentence myself as Ji Mingyang helped me into the carriage. It was much more touching than on paper. Miss Lin, would you allow me to arrange your day today? Having lived an extra life, I've been to most of the noteworthy places in the capital. I didn't have much expectation for today's outing. But Ji Mingyang is a master at using his amorous eyes. He doesn't say much, just stares at me expectantly with those eyes, and I, inexplicably, nodded in agreement. And then be rewarded with a big smile. The carriage stopped by the lake, and Ji Mingyang escorted me onto a decorated boat. The boat was filled with melodious music, and beautiful women were dancing gracefully. I couldn't bear to blink after getting on the boat. I don't know how I got seated. I even forgot there was a guest named Ji Mingyang. Few people know that I love reading storybooks. I also yearned for the female knight-errant in the storybooks, disguised as a man. Listening to music and watching dances in brothels, appreciating all the beauties, but I have to abide by etiquette and rules, and care about my reputation. I want to stay far away from places like that. I dare not cross the line even a little bit. After the dance ended, a group of beautiful girls swarmed towards me like butterflies. They surrounded me, coaxing me to fish with sweet words. If Miss catches a big fish today, we sisters will cook you our specialties. The women were fragrant and soft, making my face flush with heat. Unable to refuse their kindness, I started fishing. I don't know if the fish in this lake are too stupid, or if I'm quite talented, but I actually caught a few big ones, and I got to enjoy a full fish feast as I wished. Delicious food, boundless romance. I even felt a little regret. Half a day passed with a gust of wind. As I left, I lingered, turning back, just in time to see Ji Mingyang's entourage handing out silver to the girls one by one. My gaze settled on the person who had been a few steps behind me and Yuhuan all along. Today he seemed to disappear on the pleasure boat. Without a sound, all the enjoyment was given to me. I turned around and sincerely thanked him. Ji Mingyang smiled brightly. Don't rush to thank me. Miss Lin hasn't received today's gift yet. I was a little confused. Was none of what happened on the flower boat real? Ji Mingyang took the fish from the attendant, saying he would take me to receive the real gift. The carriage went through streets and alleys, and we arrived at the place. Ji Mingyang knocked on the door. Granny, Miss Lin and I have brought gifts to pick up Tonu. When I returned to the city in a daze, I had a little Tonu who had just been weaned, held in Ji Mingyang's palm, taught to act spoiled towards me. If you can make Miss Lin happy, I'll make sure you eat and drink well later, and even pick 2 servants to take care of you, so you can live like a young lady. But you absolutely, positively have to make Miss Lin happy. The little cat doesn't understand anything. It only knows how to meow. It could be said that the storyteller talks too much and too fast, annoying the cat. I watched, and finally couldn't help but laugh. Then I felt an extremely hot gaze. I looked up. He heard him say, "I think I'm still somewhat useful," finally bringing a smile to Miss Lin's face. A wave of bitterness welled up in my eyes. Only then did it dawn on me. So I was unhappy. 4. When I saw Xierangshu and Liu Ruier at the entrance of the Lin residence, I suddenly understood the reason for my unhappiness. Xierangshu's accusation came aggressively. "Lin Yu, I warned you long ago not to be so jealous, but you didn't listen at all." Liu Ruier also suddenly bent her knees and knelt straight down in front of me. "Miss Lin, I beg you, please give me a way out. Even if I become your cousin's concubine, I will surely be well behaved and will never compete with you for your cousin. Please, don't drive me away." I hadn't yet understood what had happened. Xierangshu suddenly grabbed my wrist and pulled me forward. "You go and explain to my mother right now that you agreed to the concubine. It happened that someone from my residence ran out to report to me. Miss, this is terrible. Madame Xie has arrived with betrothal gifts to propose marriage." I forcefully broke free from Xierangshu's restraint and looked at him coldly. "Xierangshu, you don't think I asked your mother to come propose marriage, do you?" Xierangshu said with certainty. "Who else could it be but you?" I suddenly found it funny. Yes, in my previous life, Madame Xie came alone as well. She said that Lord Xie was called away halfway to enter the palace to discuss state affairs, and that Xierangshu had caught a cold and was recuperating at home. Although not everyone is here, the Xie family brings their full sincerity. The betrothal gifts in my previous life were more than this time, enough to fill the courtyard. Madame Xie said she would love me as her own daughter, and would hand over the power of managing the household to me early on. Most importantly, she said, Xierangshu promised never to take a concubine and to have only me for the rest of his life. Madame Xie even wrote a contract on the spot and gave it to my parents. I was hiding behind a screen that time too. I thought to myself that a family that dares to make such a vow must have an upright family tradition. After getting engaged, Xierangshu also invited me out for a few outings. Each one was arranged meticulously and thoughtfully. He would often give me some novel little trinkets, not particularly valuable, but very much to my liking. I thought that a man who is willing to put effort into his unmarried fiancée would be a good husband worthy of entrusting my life to. Therefore, I was also looking forward to marrying him. After marriage, Xierangshu and I also had a honeymoon period. Xierangshu is an ambitious man, unwilling to be sheltered by his family, and went to take the imperial examination himself, from a Shotsi to a Juren, though not always at the top. His path was smooth. The year I married him, he was preparing for the Jinsha examination, so I took over the management of the household from my mother-in-law while also becoming Xierangshu's study companion. I could join him in drinking wine and composing poetry, indulging in artistic pursuits. I can still offer some of my own insights on the imperial examination essays. I saw undisguised admiration in Xierangshu's eyes, and thought it was love, thought he had me in his heart, until I found out I was pregnant. Xierangshu showed unprecedented joy. That night, he got very drunk and kept holding my hand, saying thank you repeatedly, after helping a drunkard wash up. I was worried he might feel unwell in the middle of the night, so I stayed by his bedside for most of the night. Then, the next day, I received a portrait with a woman's birth date written on it. Xierangshu said, Madam, now that you are pregnant, it's time to fulfill your promise, isn't it? This is my younger female cousin's portrait and birth date. Choose an auspicious day to welcome her into the manor. I don't know where the promise came from, or whose promise it was. I only felt like I had awakened from a long dream. Suddenly startled, it belatedly dawned on me that this marriage was a scam from beginning to end. Madame Xie promised the Lin family that her son would never take a concubine. Then she turned to Xierangshu and said, Once I am pregnant with the eldest son, I will let him welcome his beloved into the family. Even the thoughtfulness and care before the marriage were all premeditated. It was Liu Ruiyue who inquired about my preferences everywhere in order to marry into the Xie family as soon as possible. The outing was her arrangement. The gifts were prepared by her. She only hoped that I would willingly conceive a child as soon as possible, so as to fulfill this pair of lovebirds. My joy, my affection, became a stark joke. I had an irreconcilable falling out with Xierangshu. It escalated until that child was lost on a rainy night. It escalated until most of my spirit was gone. Actually, I had agreed to take Xieren, Shu Naluyu as concubines. It's a pity it didn't happen, because my dear mother-in-law produced the contract she had written back then promising not to take concubines, and then she fell ill and never recovered. My parents' home is so close, yet I haven't been able to go back often, so my parents never knew that I have a pair of knees worn out from kneeling, and a waist that always aches like it's being pricked with needles. My mother-in-law is sick, and she wants me to kneel in front of her bed to serve her, attending to her medicine and meals. I have to kneel in the ancestral hall to transcribe scriptures and pray for blessings. My husband is taking the imperial exam and needs to make offerings at the temple. Kneeling on the cold stone slabs for the required time is considered a sign of sincere devotion. As the mistress of the house, I have to oversee all matters, big and small. I have to attend various banquets, representing the Xie family to maintain good relationships with the ladies and young misses of other families. I have to welcome guests and see them off, managing social interactions on behalf of my father-in-law and husband. worrying about their studies and artistic pursuits, and fretting over their future and marriages. I'm like a spinning top being whipped, never stopping for a moment to rest. It turns out I'm not unhappy, it's just that my past life was too bitter. So bitter that I don't even know how to be happy anymore. I looked at Xierangshu, who was still waiting for me to explain. I laughed mockingly. Xierangshu, you're just a fool, a complete and utter fool. 5. No one knows that the one who never allowed Xierangshu to take Liu Ruyue as a concubine was not me, but his good mother, who was only thinking of her son. After being tormented by Madame Xie several times, I finally found out the reason. Because Xierangshu's father once had a past with Liu Ruyue's mother, the person he should have married was actually Liu Ruyue's mother, but Madame Xie interfered and stole this good match. Perhaps it was a guilty conscience, or perhaps it was fear. In short, Madame Xie would not allow Xierangshu to marry Liu Ruyue, not even as a concubine, but a loving mother wouldn't want to be the bad guy for her son. So, it can only be me, this daughter-in-law. Looks like having me take the blame for a lifetime wasn't enough. Madame Xie still remembers me in this life. Inside the house, my parents coldly saw the guests off. Madame Xie smiled ingratiatingly, promising again that her son would not take a concubine. Good sister, you yourself married a good husband. Don't you want your daughter to have a good home too? My Shua is a guaranteed jinsha, and is also handsome. Although he made a little mistake a few days ago, I've already sent the person away. And she will never come to offend Yu's eyes in the future. Xierangshu, after being reborn, no longer obeyed his mother blindly. Not only did he refuse to come to my door to propose marriage, but he also loudly proclaimed that he would take Liu Ruyue as a concubine with the ceremony befitting a wife. The panicked Madame Xie, on the one hand, took it upon herself to propose marriage on behalf of her son, and on the other hand, used my name to order people to make trouble for Liu Ruyue, attempting to drive her out of the capital. Truly, what a grand performance. I turned my head to look at Xierangshu, who was clearly stunned. Xierangshu, if your Xie family hadn't actively sought this marriage, I would never have considered marrying you. And I certainly wouldn't have targeted another innocent woman for your sake. You are not worth it. Although the Lin and Xie families have some acquaintance, I am not well acquainted with Xierangshu. Much of what I know of his talent, character, and even appearance comes from hearsay. It's a pity, after hearing so much, I never heard that he had already fallen in love with someone. Xierangshu's expression froze. Whether it was because he discovered the truth of his emotional setback, or for some other reason, he looked at me deeply, then stepped through the door. I didn't understand the meaning behind it. I only saw my already annoyed father pick up a teacup and smash it over Xierangshu's head. You bastard, you dare come here. I'll beat you to death. Seeing the cup flying towards her, Xierangshu didn't even dodge. The result was a purplish bruise on her forehead. The Xie madam, who had been all smiles just moments before, suddenly turned hostile. Lord Lin, even if you resent my Xie family for proposing late, you shouldn't resort to such violence. My son is destined to be the future #1 scholar. If he's disfigured, can your Lin family bear the responsibility? Before my parents could speak, Madame Xie sneered again. So much resentment. Yet you pretended to say earlier that your daughter was already engaged to someone else. You were just waiting to give my son a hard time. Your Lin family's daughters are nothing more than... Mother, Xierangshu interrupted Madame Xie with a cold face, cupping his hands to apologize to my parents. We were presumptuous today. Please forgive us. Uncle and aunt, we will definitely prepare a generous gift and come to apologize another day. There's no need. Just consider that the two families have never had any contact. Please leave, and take away all that junk outside. Don't dirty my Lin family's land. Father spoke harshly, without any consideration. The betrothal gifts were called junk, and Madame Xie's face looked very unpleasant, but when she turned her head and saw Liu Ruyue, her face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. Forgetting her composure, she grabbed Liu Ruya and walked out. In the end, he didn't forget to have the betrothal gifts he brought carried away. Cousin, Liu Ruya weakly reached out to Xiaongshu for help. Xiaongshu hesitated for a moment, but ultimately didn't follow. Instead, he stood in front of me, frowning and lecturing. Lin Yu, you don't need to threaten me with another marriage proposal. I just wanted to temper your jealous nature. I didn't say I wouldn't marry you. Such meticulous scheming is truly embarrassing. I felt a little irritated because Xiaongshu couldn't understand human language. I also don't know why young Master Xie is so shameless, so sure that I must marry you. A good woman doesn't marry twice. Lin Yu, who else can you marry besides me? Xiaongshu spoke as if it were only natural. It also made me understand the source of his arrogance. I am naturally a good woman, but someone like Xiaongshu is not worthy of marrying me. I didn't speak again. Only looked at him with a cold expression and mockery in my eyes, perhaps feeling guilty under my gaze. Xiaongshu paused for a moment and added as if compromising, "Don't worry, I will give you enough face. I will marry you and my cousin on the same day, allowing you to enter the door before her." Having said that, he left in a hurry. I called out to him, "Xiaongshu." Xiaongshu turned back, a hint of impatience on his face. "I misunderstood you regarding my cousin, but I've already backed down." Lin Yu, you should be content. It's not that I'm ungrateful. I just want to say, find a time to return the Lin family's keepsake to me. My father sent people to ask for it several times, but the Xie family kept delaying and hiding it, refusing to give it back. As for the Xie family's keepsake from back then, I raised my hand and threw it into Xiaongshu's arms. In exchange, I received 4 angry words from Xiaongshu. Incomprehensible, and, it seems you haven't learned your lesson yet. Then continue to wait. When you figure it out, I'll come to propose marriage. I suddenly felt pathetic, for my past self who once liked Xiaongshu. After watching the Xie family's servants finish moving the betrothal gifts, a familiar head popped up at the doorway. Ji Mingyang approached me with a food box in hand. "Miss Lin, this guy won't do," I counted. "The betrothal gifts aren't even half as much as mine. Please don't choose him, okay?" Somehow, I detected a hint of nervousness in his words. But he was the one I was originally going to be betrothed to. But I came through the door first. Before she could finish, Ji Mingyang interrupted her eagerly. That handsome face even showed a touch of grievance. It makes one can't help but want to cherish her. But I resisted. "Actually, you've been here the whole time. Why didn't you come out?" Clearly, Ji Mingyang wasn't surprised that I knew. Just said, "I'm waiting for Miss Lin to make her choice." "Choose what?" "Choose, me, or him." In the silence that followed, Ji Mingyang was like a fish on a chopping board, always waiting for the knife to fall, and I am the one holding the knife. This person is sober and restrained, and without my knowing, seems to love me very much. The displeasure in my heart caused by the Xie family instantly dissipated by more than half, so, before he could crush the pastry bag, I took pity on him. "Yes, I want you." 6. After being disturbed by the Xie family all day, I dreamed of past events again that night. That day was my birthday. It was also the first birthday I had after marrying into the Xie family. At that time, things between Xiaongshu and I hadn't deteriorated too much. The maids and matrons serving me all advised me to soften my stance towards him. They all knew how difficult life could be in this deep mansion when a husband didn't value you. Although I have the power to manage the household, the servants can't easily get over me, but above me. There are my parents-in-law, and after the disputes with Xiaongshu, my mother-in-law has warned me several times. Yu Huan also advised me, "Miss, you still have a child in your belly, just think of it as being for the child." Yes, and there are the children. So I cheered myself up and personally cooked a table full of dishes. I also opened the good wine that my parents gave me as dowry, and sent someone early to invite Xiaongshu to come for dinner, and then I waited and waited. After the food had gone cold, I finally waited for Xierangshu, reeking of alcohol. When I saw him enter, I happily stood up. The next moment, the smile froze on my face. I saw Liu Ruiyue following behind him. Xierangshu seemed very pleased with my reaction, pulled Liu Ruiyue into his arms, and spat out vicious words at me. Your maid invited me to celebrate your birthday. Ha! A jealous woman like you deserves my blessing. I would congratulate a dog on the side of the road. But I would never congratulate you, Lin Yu. The most regretful thing I've ever done in my life is marrying you. Xierangshu's eyes were bloodshot with anger, and with a wave of his hand, he overturned the table. Bowls and dishes flew and shattered all over the floor, and the table was knocked over, landing squarely on my stomach. The pain made me bend over on the spot, but I still remembered my purpose tonight, so I weakened again, clutching my stomach to make him stay. Xierangshu, my stomach hurts. I got 4 words in return. Acting like you're sick. I was ignored, only seeing him stride out with Liu Ruiyue in his arms, walking quickly and steadily. Yu Huan and the others also pleaded, Master, Miss is bleeding. Please send someone to fetch a doctor. Xierangshu didn't turn back. Not even once. Only thunder roared in the sky. Later, Yu Huan braved the rain to bring a doctor. But because Liu Ruiyue said she felt unwell in her chest, Xierangshu intercepted her halfway. Despite Yu Huan's desperate pleas outside the door, she couldn't get a doctor. She cried her heart out, telling me that she couldn't get a doctor. Understood. Suddenly, my stomach doesn't hurt anymore. Maybe something else hurts even more, hurts so much that it's hard to breathe. I sat blankly by the window all night. The next day, when Xierangshu pushed the door open and came in, I told him, Xierangshu, I agree to you taking a concubine. Xierangshu already knew about the loss of the child when he came to see me. Xierangshu may not love me, but he was looking forward to that child. Rarely, his eyes also turned red. Standing next to me, she apologized with her hands and feet in a fluster. I'm sorry, I didn't know it would be so serious. Xierangshu reached out to touch my face, but I subtly avoided her. I said, it's okay, I wasn't expecting it anyway, it's fine if it's gone. Xierangshu couldn't bear my sorrowful expression, finally fled in panic. Afterwards, my in-laws found out that I had a miscarriage because of Xierangshu's anger. My father-in-law was furious and directly enforced the family law, whipping Xierangshu 20 times in the ancestral hall, leaving him bedridden for several days. My mother-in-law also had the excuse she wanted to drive Liu Ruiyue away. She arranged for someone to take Liu Ruiyue to a nunnery outside the city, so she could practice asceticism and atone for my lost child. Before leaving, Liu Ruiyue came to apologize to me. She said, growing up, that was the only time I ever did something bad. Believe it or not, I never really wanted to hurt you. I just loved my cousin too much. I believe it. Liu Ruiyue is also a proper young lady from a wealthy family, trying every possible way to please me, the legal wife, on his behalf. In the end, she just wants to be a concubine so that Xierangshu won't be put in a difficult position. Not many people can do that, at least I can't. And I don't blame her, because she was never the one truly in charge. Since then, I have never seen Liu Ruiyue at the Xie's house again, and Xierangshu and I never reconciled. 7. I didn't expect that a dream would make me so sick. When I opened my eyes, I could only smell incense in the room. I wanted to get out of bed and put out the incense, but when my feet touched the ground, my knees felt like they were being pricked by a million needles. It was as if I was in front of the Buddha, surrounded by the never-ending smell of incense. The biting cold wind came from all directions, making me feel both cold and painful. The pain was so intense that I couldn't even stand. But in this life, I clearly haven't knelt before. Yu Huan, who had rushed over, called for my parents and sent someone to fetch the doctor. One after another, they came. They all said my knees were fine. The pain was because of a mental issue. My mother didn't understand, holding me with heartache. My good girl, raised with the utmost care. How did she end up with a mental issue that made her knees feel ruined? Who told you to kneel? Who dares to make you kneel? I felt like laughing a little, and also like crying. Ji Mingyan's displeased remark woke me up. Belatedly, I remembered the suffering of my past life, and recalled the pain of my past life, connected to the fear deep in my heart. Having been reborn for so long, I suddenly became afraid of getting married. I asked, "Mother, can I not get married?" Mother said yes. She would take care of me for the rest of my life. I hugged Mother, tears streaming down my face, but my heartache was still not healed. Father thinks the Xie family is cursing me, otherwise I was fine. How could I become so ill that I can't even walk after the Xie family made a scene? So, for several days in a row, he came to the Xie family to demand tokens and make trouble. He also felt that the Ji family might not be a good match. So he invited Ji Mingyang to discuss the matter of breaking off the engagement. When Ji Mingyang came to see me, Yu Huan was rubbing my legs and wiping away tears. Having not seen him for a few days, Ji Mingyang hadn't changed much. Except for a hint of worry between his brows, he still said, "Miss Lin, good day to you." But Miss Lin was not having a good day today. I said apologetically, "Young Master Ji, I'm so sorry. I just said I'd choose you, and now I'm going back on my word." Ji Mingyang hesitated for a long time before finally asking, "Does Miss Lin not want to get married, or does she not want to marry me? I don't think there's much difference." But Ji Mingyang was very insistent. I told the truth. "I'm afraid of getting married." Ji Mingyang seemed a little happy after hearing this. I heard him ask, "Then, if the engagement is called off, will Miss Lin be happy today?" "I don't know," said tentatively. "Perhaps." My heartache did not originate with him, so I don't know if it will be useful. "If Miss Lin is happy, then return it." Ji Mingyang replied very quickly, without hesitation. I looked at his sincere smile. "Ji Mingyang, how can you be so good that I feel guilty? I never thought that in this world, besides my parents, there would be someone who would be so kind to me without considering the gains and losses." Even after the engagement was called off, Ji Mingyang still came to my door every day. In his words, even if we couldn't be husband and wife for now, we could still be close friends. And so, the most beautiful lotus flowers of summer bloomed before my window. Ji Mingyang said, "This lotus flower has been blessed by a Taoist priest. It will surely ensure the young lady's speedy recovery." The snacks were also replaced with those handmade by Quan Furen, famous in Kyoto. If the young lady eats these, she will surely have both fortune and longevity, and be healthy. Another day, Ji Mingyang brought a large kite he had made himself. "Miss Lin, the weather is nice today. Let's fly a kite in the yard. I don't need to worry about how to fly a kite when I can't walk." Ji Mingyang also brought a wheelchair with him. I worked for several days and finally finished it. "Miss Lin, let me push you to fly a kite." The kite went steadily into the sky, flying higher and higher. It only just occurred to me that the kite is a goose. In my ear, Ji Mingyang was saying, "Miss Lin should be like this goose, beautiful and free." Is a goose tied to a string really free? Fortunately, the string is now in my hands. I tugged at the string and shook it, and the goose nodded at me. So, when Ji Mingyang asked me if I was happy today, I said, "Ji Mingyang, if you cure my heartache, I will marry you." "Okay," he said. "Okay." 8. The day after Ji Mingyang agreed, he sought a charm for me. Knowing I disliked Buddhism, he went to a Taoist temple. It was the most famous Taoist temple in the suburbs of the capital, located in the thousandfold mountains outside the city, with thousands of steps. The most sincere peace charm can only be obtained by kowtowing at each step. He was also in a wheelchair when he was brought in with the talisman. Only the white cloth wrapped around his forehead was stained. The knees hidden under the hem of his clothes must have been hurting terribly. Ji Mingyang didn't mention a word, still smiling. The Taoist priest saw my sincerity and helped me convey it to the heavens. requesting the Taoist ancestor to bestow upon me a great deal of blessings. If Miss Lin wears it, she will surely be free from all illnesses in the future. I actually wanted to ask, what virtues or abilities do I possess to deserve this? I also wanted to stand up immediately and let him see that his efforts were not in vain. It's a pity I couldn't stand up. I had no choice but to become fellow patients with Ji Mingyang. With him around, I didn't feel bored or annoyed, until one day. When Yu Huan was massaging my legs, I forgot to cry out in pain. In her joy, I realized that my knee didn't hurt anymore. I could even walk a few steps. After that, it got better day by day. Ji Mingyang really has the potential to be a miracle doctor. Upon hearing the good news, Ji Mingyang insisted on taking me out of the city to fulfill our vow. After being nursed for a while, he was back to his old self, full of energy. The 1,000-step stone staircase was difficult to climb. I had never so sincerely prayed for someone else before, so I don't know how difficult it was to kowtow all the way up. Only the safety amulet in my arms was burning hot. Ji Mingyang donated a lot of sincerity to the efficacious Taoist patriarch. I also received a few words of advice from the Taoist priest. It's the people who are wrong, not the feelings. The past is gone, only seek a clear conscience. Why doesn't the young lady cherish the person before her? Ji Mingyang kept pointing at himself, proving that he was the person before her. I couldn't help it and burst out laughing, and even made people blush. He stammered as he praised me. Miss Lin, you look so beautiful when you smile. 9. But some people just love to spoil the fun. I really didn't expect to run into Xierangshu and Liu Ruya here of all places. Xierangshu noticed Ji Mingyang beside me immediately. Her face turned cold, and she questioned, "Who is he?" I didn't want to waste my breath on him and pulled Ji Mingyang to leave. But Xierangshu grabbed my arm. "Hearing that you were sick, my cousin and I kindly came to the Taoist temple to pray for your well-being. Instead of reflecting on your mistakes and recuperating at home, you're flirting with a man. You have no self-respect. Lin Yu, where are your manners and sense of shame?" I slapped her hand away and my face turned cold as well. "It's my business who I travel with, and it's none of your concern." Young Master Xie, Xierangshu was stunned. "What fiancé, Lin Yu? Aren't I your fiancé?" I sneered. "Young Master Xie, are you suffering from some kind of delusion? When did our two families ever have a marriage agreement?" My father forcibly retrieved the Lin family's betrothal gifts, and the two families no longer have any contact. He and I have long been unrelated. This was clearly different from what Xierangshu had imagined. According to what he thought, I should probably be at home crying every day, and then hoping and begging for Xierangshu to come to propose marriage. Only then would it be right. But I didn't. Xierangshu reached out to pull me again, with much more force this time. At the same time, she emphasized her tone. "Lin Yu, apologize. As long as you admit you were talking nonsense, I will forgive your transgressions today." I didn't move, and Ji Mingyang took action. Not only did he pry open Xierangshu's hand, but he also punched him in return. "Xie, are you deaf, or just brainless? Miss Lin is my Ji Mingyang's fiancé, my fiancé. When did it become your place to forgive her? Idiot." Xierangshu still felt unsatisfied and wanted to kick him a couple of times. I stopped her. "You'll get your feet dirty." Ji Mingyang thought it made sense and obediently followed me. Xierangshu wanted to chase after us, but Liu Ruya stopped her. I only heard him shouting unwillingly from behind, "Lin Yu, once you marry me, you can only be my wife." But why should that be? 10. I didn't take Xierangshu to heart. My mental block was resolved, and my marriage to Ji Mingyang was put on the agenda. The house started bustling with activity. My parents wanted Ji Mingyang and me to have a wedding ceremony in the capital, and then another one in Jiangnan. Anyway, the Ji family also has a residence in the capital, so it would be fine to just arrange it there. I settled down to await my marriage, not having to worry about anything, until Liu Ruya had the doorman send a letter. saying she wanted to see me. I don't know what's troubling her, but she looks much more haggard than the last time I saw her at the Taoist temple. Liu Ruya knelt before me once again. It was my cousin who was too arrogant before, but he knows he was wrong now. Please, Miss Lin, give him another chance. Once he has gathered the betrothal gifts, he will definitely come to propose marriage, since Xierangshu wants to take Liu Ruya as a concubine with the rights of a proper wife. The betrothal gifts naturally cannot be lacking. If they are given to that side, then when it comes to the Lin family, all that's left is the pile of junk that father disliked last time, especially after Xierangshu inquired about the Ji family's betrothal gifts. He didn't want to fall too short of Ji Mingyang, so he hesitated to visit. During this time, Xierangshu sent people to deliver letters many times, but none of them reached me. I didn't go out, and he had no chance to see me. Unable to explain to me in person, in the end, it was Liu Ruya who made this trip for him. You are truly devoted. It evoked pity. I was just curious. Are you content with just being a concubine? Liu Ruya smiled bitterly. What can I do if I'm not content? My aunt doesn't like me. This is already the result of her compromise for my cousin. I only hope my cousin can find a good match and marry a virtuous mistress, so that my days will be better in the future, I asked. Then have you never thought about not marrying him? Liu Ruya said she couldn't let go. Then she alone must taste the bitter fruit. I didn't try to persuade her further, nor did I agree to Liu Ruya's request. I could marry anyone in this life, but it would never be Xierangshu. The wedding date came quickly. Ji Mingyang, on horseback, shouted at me, Miss Lin, a good day to you. My vision was obscured by the veil, and all I could see was red, very festive. I also felt that today was good. Even a little too good. Ji Mingyang insisted on waiting for the midnight bell to strike, wanting to complete the sentence today. Miss Lin, today is a good day. I was already exhausted, unable even to hold onto his shoulders. I could only let him repeat it in my ear, over and over. Miss Lin, tomorrow will be a good day. Good day after tomorrow, Miss Lin. Good every day, Miss Lin. 11. It wasn't until noon the next day that I learned Xierangshu had gone to the Lin family to propose marriage yesterday, but he was a step too late and missed her. While doing my hair and makeup, Yu Huan vividly described, I heard that after learning about your marriage, Master Xie went crazy and tried to barge into our house. He even asked Master and Madam why they were marrying you off to someone else, accusing them of breaking their promise, saying they had agreed to marry you to him. Bah, twisting the truth. It's clearly their side that broke the promise, and now they're blaming us. Luckily, you didn't marry him, miss, otherwise, you definitely wouldn't have had a good time with someone like that. Yu Huan had just finished scolding Xierangshu, and the next thing I knew, he had sent a calling card to the Ji family, seeking me out. I styled my hair in a married woman's bun and went to the front hall to receive the guest. Ayu, Xierangshu said urgently, even changing his form of address. Rarely, he didn't bring Liu Ruya with him today. Her eyes were just red-rimmed, and she looked quite haggard, her face nowhere near as beautiful as before. You're back too, aren't you? After being reborn for so long, Xierangshu finally realized this. He stepped forward excitedly. Since you've been reborn, why didn't you come find me? Why did you marry someone else? Lin Yu, we are husband and wife. We were husband and wife for decades, I replied calmly. Xierangshu, did you ever truly consider me your wife? You've forgotten. You said that the thing you regretted most in your past life was marrying me. Besides, without me.
Xierangshu stubbornly chased me all the way to Jiangnan. That day, Ji Mingyang was going to take me to meet the neighbor's child who was being treated like a storyteller. As we rounded the courtyard wall, Xierangshu blocked our path halfway. Ji Mingyang was very unhappy, raising his fist to threaten him. You're so annoying, you copycat, looking at me expectantly again, asking me what to do. I sighed, amused that the things I couldn't get before, I can't get rid of now. Last time. Xierangshu, I'll listen to what else you want to say. Ji Mingyang sensibly went to the corner to squat like a mushroom. Xierangshu said with red eyes, I know I was wrong, and I regret it. I shouldn't have tested you, shouldn't have thought about snubbing you to teach you a lesson. I'll change. I'll change everything you don't like. Please forgive me just this once. Just this once, okay. I ignored the pain Xierangshu was showing. To put it bluntly, Xierangshu, your sudden realization is not because you love me, but because you didn't get me. You're just unwilling to accept it. You're not that bad, you're just a little greedy. You want a virtuous wife at home to bear and raise children for you, to take care of everything, so you have no worries. You also want to marry your gentle and considerate sweetheart to keep at home, as a confidant when you are bored and tired, and then, with a monthly salary that you can't even support yourself with. You act as a highly praised pillar of the state, and then go home to show off your authority as the head of the family. Everyone else does it, you just don't understand why others can, but you can't. Xierangshu really didn't understand, so she asked sadly, yes. Why can't I, Linyu, why won't you compromise for me? I've clearly arranged everything, convinced my parents, convinced my cousin. As long as you nod, our family can live a good life. But you insist on marrying someone else, because I don't love you. I spoke decisively, because I don't love you. I'm unwilling to share a husband with others, because I don't love you. I don't want to enter your Xie family's den of wolves and tigers again, because I hate you. I wish you were dead. Xierangshu, this is the last time I'll allow you to appear before me. If you bother me again in the future, I will certainly do my best as a host in Jiangnan. I no longer concealed the hatred I had hidden for so long. I truly hate Xierangshu to death, hate the Xie family to death. Xierangshu was stimulated by my intense and strong hatred, and subconsciously took a step back. Her face was full of disbelief. How could it be? He wanted to speak, but didn't know where to begin. Just then, a pebble suddenly flew over the courtyard wall and hit Xierangshu on the shoulder. I looked up and saw a child perched on the wall of the neighboring courtyard. He was sticking his tongue out at Xierangshu. Toad, croak croak croak. Immediately following, an angry roar came from inside the courtyard wall. You little rascal, you're climbing the wall again. The child was dragged away, leaving behind cries for help. Brother Ji, save me. Ji Mingyang, who had been standing around like a mushroom for quite a while, finally had something to do. He stood up and pulled me up, dashing off. Madam, hurry, hurry, my brother is about to get beaten. We need to go save him. We barged into the place next door as if it were our own. Ji Mingyang loudly responding to his good brother. I'm here. Your sister-in-law is here too, here to save you. Luckily, we arrived in time to save the ass of Ji Mingyang's good brother, which also granted him the rights to host guests. The child poured 3 full cups of tea, wanting to raise a toast with us in celebration. Your little brother, wish Brother Ji and his wife a harmonious marriage lasting 100 years, and may you soon have a son. Come, let us drain this cup. I drank my fill of water, and Ji Mingyang dragged me back home. On the way, I seemed to hear the elder's comments. Sigh, our son is such a troublemaker. Who knew he'd marry one too? Have you forgotten who was the most hated and annoying person on this street before? Ouch, ouch, ouch. My good madam, I'll talk, just don't twist my ear. These peaceful days in Jiangnan have been turned upside down by Ji Mingyang and me. 14, another year passed, and news from the capital reached Jiangnan. Xierangshu, who had topped the 2nd class in the previous life, failed the exam this time. Madame Xie was so angered by Xierangshu's marriage to Liu Ruiyue that she fell seriously ill, and never recovered. As for me, I am listening to Ji Mingyang recount our past. I once wondered why Ji Mingyang was so deeply in love with me, but he was unwilling to say, so I didn't press him. Not long ago, I accidentally learned from my mother-in-law that he had fallen into a manure pit when he was a child. As for the person who saved him, coincidentally, it was me visiting my aunt's house, so he has been thinking of me for a long time, from the previous life to this life. One morning, Ji Mingyang brought a bunch of wildflowers with dewdrops from somewhere, and the shortbread I love to eat, ran to the bedside to tease me. Wildflowers tickled my face, and the dew felt slightly cool. In my hazy awakening, I heard that unchanging phrase, Miss Lin, good day to you. I caught the flower, a smile on my lips. I said, Ji Mingyang, Jiangnan is beautiful, 15 Ji Mingyang extra. Ji Mingyang never thought that he would be a sentimentalist in the future. He was often teased when he was young. They said he had flirtatious eyes and would inevitably be surrounded by romance and become a libertine in the future. They also said he had thin lips and would definitely be fickle and heartless when he grew up. The result was that he grew into an escape artist who could tell stories. He didn't get involved in romantic affairs, only remembering that there was a debt of gratitude to repay. It would be best to marry her and cherish her like a treasure in the palm of his hand. Unfortunately, Jiangnan was far away, and he was one step too late. The day his beloved married, his betrothal gifts finally arrived at the shore. He thought, in case his beloved regretted it, she would have a choice, but she didn't regret it, so Ji Mingyang had to mingle into the crowd to watch the ceremony, wishing her and her husband love and happiness. Growing old together, in the years that followed, Ji Mingyang would visit Kyoto every year on her birthday. He wouldn't do anything. Just catch a glimpse of her from afar. Then, in his heart, he would say, Miss Lin, happy birthday. She probably wasn't happy, so when he saw her again later, Ji Mingyang changed his blessing in his heart. He said, hello, Miss Lin. He was a little regretful that he couldn't say it in person, so he had to write it on paper, one sheet a day, filling an entire room. The day she left, he stood outside the Xie mansion for a whole day and night. When he returned to Jiangnan, he took the notes of so many years to Kyoto. In the most famous Taoist temple in Kyoto, he donated a lot of sincerity, and burned the notes with "Have a good day" one by one in the furnace. Make a wish to the Taoist ancestor, hoping the Taoist ancestor would see his sincerity and grant her happiness in the next life. He kowtowed on 1,000 steps, exchanging it for rebirth. When he opened his eyes again, he received a letter from Kyoto, asking him to propose marriage. He was overjoyed and set off with the betrothal gifts. He thought, this time, he would definitely make her happy. He also thought, this time, he could finally say to her in person, good day to you, Miss Lin. End of the full text.